Hello, Dr. Childress here. Welcome. This is the Foundation series where I apply information sets from three different fields of professional psychology, from family systems therapy, personality disorder pathology, and the attachment system, to attachment-related pathology surrounding divorce, the child rejecting a parent following divorce. And using those three different information sets, we're going to triangulate on the pathology and provide a comprehensive and complete description of what the pathology is. Right now, I'm going through the family systems literature, applying that information set to the pathology. We've discussed Bowen family therapy and the multi-generational processes, the emotional cutoff, and the role of triangles. We've discussed Minuchin and Haley and the cross-generational coalition that's formed between the allied parent and the child. And that led into J. Haley referring to it as a perverse triangle because of cross-generational boundaries that then led into some of the discussion by Craig in the Journal of Emotional Child Abuse around the violation of child boundaries. It is that violation of child's integrity and autonomy that is the most disturbing symptom feature about the cross-generational coalition, which is why Haley called it a perverse triangle. But I want to highlight one of the sentences by Craig a little bit more and unpack it just a little bit. In the Journal of Emotional Child Abuse, Craig states, "In order to carve out an island of safety and responsivity in an unpredictable, harsh, and depriving parent-child relationship, children of highly maladaptive parents may become precocious caretakers who are adept at reading the cues and meeting the needs of those around them." So what Craig captures in that particular sentence is the idea of the child becoming a precocious caretaker. And we see that a lot with these children. And the precocious term refers to their sort of advanced maturity beyond their age. And so we have a 10-year-old perhaps acting like a 12-year-old or 14-year-old, or a 12-year-old acting like a 16-year-old. And we tend to see that in the mental health field or teachers as a child being mature and having greater cognitive capabilities than is actually true. In truth, it's actually a precocious maturity that shouldn't be there, but the child is acquiring that superficial presentation of maturity through that caretaking response and through the relationship with an adult, a diffuse relationship with the allied parent. And so the child has become, as Craig notes, a precocious caretaker of other people's needs. And that's that cross-generational coalition, the perverse triangle, where the child is taking care of the needs of the parent or the needs of the adult. We don't like that. We don't want to see that. That's not healthy for the child. That's a reversal, a role reversal, where the child's taking care of the parent's needs, and it's got that creepy overtones of the sexual abuse and incest. It's like a psychological incest that makes those of us in clinical psychology uncomfortable in that parent-child relationship. Now, I'm not saying the child's been sexually abused. I'm just saying that's a feature of the pathology that is disturbing and uncomfortable for a clinical psychologist. And so when the child, though, goes into individual therapists or meet with a GAL or an attorney, they present as a caretaker, taking care of the needs of the adult, the needs of the therapist or the guardian ad litem or whoever it is that they're talking to, the teacher. They take care of their emotional needs. And so adults like these children. And so frequently you get reports out of the individual therapy about how mature the child is and how wonderful the child is. Well, that's the precocious caretaking aspect. So Craig goes on to state, "The ensuing preoccupied attachment with the parent interferes with the child's development of important ego functions such as self-organization, affect regulation, and emotional object constancy." Now, this is a very insightful statement by Craig, indicating that she knows how the attachment system works. because she notes the preoccupied attachment the child has with the allied narcissistic borderline parent. Now, most people who do not understand the attachment system see that enmeshed relationship, that diffuse boundary between the parent and the child, as a bonded relationship. In actuality, it's immensely pathological. It is that deeply disturbing cross-generational coalition, the perverse triangle, where the child's taking care of the parent's needs. Oh my goodness, that's awful. But most people see that as being bonded because it has the superficial aspects of bonding and affection. But Craig correctly notes it's actually a preoccupied, insecure attachment, where the child is afraid to separate from that parent. And so that's one of the features that Craig accurately notes, and we'll unpack that more when we begin to apply the attachment system information sets. But the other thing that Craig notes in this is how that interferes with the child's development of self-structure, but most importantly here, or as importantly, affect regulation, the regulation of emotions. Now, when we see the child getting all angry and hostile and saying all, that's an affect regulation problem. That's the symptom definition for that in clinical psychology. What the child's doing by getting all angry would be called an affect regulation problem. The child's having trouble regulating affect. And Craig here tells us where that source is. In addition, the regulation of anxiety. So if the child's all scared and doesn't want to go be with the targeted parent because they have stress, that's an affect regulation problem. The child's not regulating their anxiety. The child's not regulating their anger. And we know where that comes from. We know how to fix it. But what Craig notes is that cross-generational coalition, that violation of the child's autonomy and integrity, undermines the development for the child of this affect regulation ability. And we will also find out, again, when we bring in the information sets of personality disorder pathology. We'll talk about Marshall Linehan and the invalidating environment as it impacts affect regulation. And then as we move into the attachment system, which is the brain system for affect regulation. And so that issue is going to be coming back over and over again. And Craig correctly notes that pathology. So follow me over to the next video segment, and we'll begin to organize the entire picture of a family systems explanation of the pathology of a child rejecting a parent surrounding divorce.